I appreciate that you're all here, and I will tell you a little bit about Auticon in a minute. I brought somebody who's supporting me since 4 years, William Crunch, this nice tall guy here. William is running our business in France since the beginning, so he has built it up, and we had a tremendously successful year in France this year. So. We are meeting with the church tomorrow, and William is part of the church, so he has helped us to set all of that up. And it's very nice for me that you see how much support we find in the States with our model. Because if I keep telling our friends in Europe, they all look at me and say, really? And I say, yes, really. And talking about support, I want to immediately thank Joel for putting that together for us, and for organizing a whole series of meetings we had before. So this was really tremendously good. Thank you so much for that. So people very often ask me, how many children on the spectrum do you have? And my answer is around 230 right now, and I hope that it keeps growing. So how did I get into the whole thing? I was an investor 8 years ago into a fund called Social Venture Fund. And to me, and that's one of the subjects we will discuss afterwards, social companies, social enterprises, social impact investing makes so much sense, because what does it mean? It just means that we use business methodology in order to help solving social problems. And we all know how to do business, we all like to do business, so why not doing business for good? And for me, this was the convincing story from the beginning. And when they asked me if I could also imagine to run a company, I said yes, but only if it's Auticon, because for me this was clear from the beginning that this is a model that can really work, because it's so obvious. The more successful we are, the more impact we have. The more impact we have, the more successful we are. So in a social enterprise, it's always difficult to find the right balance between the impact side and the people side, and also to make it financially work. I thought from the beginning that the Auticon model can accomplish both, and this is, I think, what we have proven over all the years. You will, of course, have a lot of opportunities afterwards to ask questions, but I want to give you a probably 15-minute, 20-minute presentation on what are we doing, how are we doing it, and what was our journey so far. And why are we so excited to be here in the States now with our model? Great. So on these slides, you find on the right-hand side something that we really believe in. For us, autism is not a bug, not a processing error. It's a different operating system. And you would imagine that this comes from a super paid marketing agency. Of course not. This comes from our own employees. You know, when we were sitting in Berlin in one of our first meetings with the first 5 employees, one of the guys says, "Good, the important thing for you to understand is we don't have a bug, we just have a different operating system." And I said, thank you so much, that will be our tagline for the next, hopefully 20 years, and this is really what it is all about. So what is our vision? And I think we are in the middle of this vision, really. We want to build up a rather big social enterprise, employing more than 1,000 autistic consultants. You will see that we are about 230, I think, at the moment, and of course adding people every week, every month. And the 2 obvious goals we have is, on the one hand side, we want to create as many career opportunities for people on the spectrum as we can ourselves. But equally important, we just want to be the leading example. We want our customers to see, hey, this is no rocket science. We need to do a few things right. And we are very proud that big companies like Allianz, like Virgin Money, like Experian, they have started to hire autistic people after they tried it out with us. And that is exactly what we want. Because even if we have 1,000 or 2,000 people one day, the world hasn't changed. We will still have 80+% unemployment rate among autistic people. But if all of our customers start to do the same thing, yes, then we are getting to where we want to get to. So this is what we want to achieve, and yeah, I think in Europe, where we're in 5 countries now, we very often are already kind of by definition asked, you know, if something is going on in Paris about autism, the first company to call is Auticon and ask how does it work in reality and how all that kind of things. So we are basically just an IT consulting business, and IT today, of course, is pretty broad. It is obviously IT, it is compliance, it is finance, it is legal, it is audit areas where the unique skills of our people can make a difference. And the special thing is that all of our employees are on the spectrum. And I know that it's different in the US because we cannot ask people for a diagnosis officially. So if somebody says I'm on the spectrum, we just accept that they are. And but in Europe it's different. In Europe we have a situation where all of our employees do have a diagnosis from the doctor. So they're definitely all on the spectrum. And this is also, we want the diversity to happen at our customers. We want to have a model which is black and white. That means we want to have autistic people among our employees more and more and more. And William, you just told the story of our fantastic colleague in France, Gabrielle, because I'm often asked, do we also have people in the management team? And the answer is not yet among our country managers, and hopefully this will happen. But we have already 3 sales directors in Auticon who are on the spectrum. That sounds bizarre. How can a person who is on the spectrum do sales? I can tell you she is super convincing. She brought Airbus as a customer to us, she brought EDF, a couple of others. And it's so convincing if she does the presentation instead of me, you know, and then the question is, how is it to work with your colleagues? She says, how is it to work with me? And that's, of course, the best answer you can imagine. So, what it is all about? This is all about these fantastic people on the spectrum. You see here our team, or part of our team in Los Angeles. You see one woman there. As a group, we are proud to say that we have around 20% of women among our consultants. That is a rather high number because from an autism point of view, I mean, it's typically 4 to 1 for men, 1 woman. And on top of that, we are talking about IT, so we have a double, you know, yeah, we have something that would basically mean we cannot have female consultants, but we have. And we are very, very happy about them. So, you know, better than any story, better than any presentation is always, and I unfortunately today don't have a consultant with me. Normally when I travel, I always have one of our friends with us because it is much, much more convincing. But I also want to give you a story here, and I also want to afterwards finalize my presentation with an example, because this is why we are doing what we are doing. This is why we are standing up every day. This is why we are fighting so hard to make it work. We have 2 examples here from 2 colleagues that we hired last year in the UK. It was in February of last year, and both of them are around 40 years old. Both of them have been 10 years unemployed. Both of them do have a PhD. It's, you know, if you know them, if you see it, you stand there and you say, why does this happen? Why do we as a society let that happen? It's ridiculous. They have fantastic skills, but just because they have a few issues, they are not making it into the first labor market. So we had them run our program, which means we tested first, do they have the cognitive skills that we need? Oh yes, they have. Then we test the IT know-how, which in both cases was really high. And then we bring them in for what we call a preparation phase. And in this preparation phase, our job coaches try to understand them and learn about them and know all the do's and the don'ts. And we walked through all the process, and basically we said, let's hire them, let's just get started. And we sent one of the guys to Allianz Insurance and one of the guys to Virgin Money. And the only feedback we got after 4 weeks, Kurt, do you have 10 more of the same? This guy has found more mistakes than other people in a year in 4 weeks. this guy is super punctual, he is working like crazy, and we are super, super, super happy. So this is really great. And in February of of 2019, we got an email from one of the two saying, this is the first time I have a job for longer than 4 weeks. And this is like a Christmas story, right? This is like, wow. And William, you could tell, I guess, many of these stories. And this is so exciting to see it. And it just tells us two things. First of all, it makes so much sense for everybody. I mean, the state is benefiting a lot. We make taxpayers out of money receivers. You know, those guys all of a sudden are part of the society again. And I can tell you the key thing that changes in their life is that they gain self-confidence again. When they come to us, the level of self-confidence is probably not existing. When they are with us 3 years, sometimes it's above 100%, then we know we need to be careful. No, I'm joking, of course, but it's really growing by the fact that they get positive feedback from us, from the job coach, from our customers, and they just make friends with their colleagues, with colleagues at the customer, and all of a sudden it's just a normal life for them again. And if you haven't had that for years, it's just amazing. In Berlin, and then I stopped for a while with the examples, we have a colleague, he was 28 and he was already on a pension scheme. That means somebody had decided that this person will not work anymore in this life. And it took us 8 months until he was officially allowed to work again. And today he's a Scrum Master and he's managing a team with 4 autistic consultants at Deutsche Telekom. You know, this is just amazing. And then the only reason is that we try to understand what are the 2, 3, 4 things that he or she is struggling with, and be totally transparent about that. So if we have found out an issue of one of our colleagues, we openly tell the customer. We let the customer know that, let's call him Peter, he does not like to be touched. So if he comes in tomorrow morning, please stay seated, say, Peter, great that you're here, let's get started. And please do not stand up and try to shake his hand, because then he will not be able to sleep the whole night. It has nothing to do with his capabilities, but if we know that, if the customer knows it, issues become non-issues all of a sudden. So what are the strengths of autistic people? I think there are enough people in the room who know that, but let me just figure out what over the 6, 7 years we are doing that now is really sticking out. And the most important thing, and we also test it when we hire our colleagues, is pattern recognition. Pattern recognition, both in a visual and cognitive sense, is they're really outstanding. I think this is almost the USP of our friends, which helps them, you know, to do predictive analysis, which helps them not only to find mistakes, but to find the pattern in a mistake, which very often means they find the source of a mistake. And that, of course, can be very valuable. The second thing is they have, I always say they have a born quality awareness. That means, you know, our expectation level is here. The expectation level of our customer is here. The expectation level of our people is here. And we sometimes, you know, hear stories that they say to us after being 2 or 3 weeks at the customer, guys, we can't charge them any money. The job I'm doing is not good at all. And we talked to the customer said, what is he talking about? It's unbelievable. He has already done this and this and this and this. And it's unbelievable. If we all think 95% is great, the guys will explain to us that 5% are missing. And this is a lot. And then the third thing is, I think it's a strength, but in real life it's a big weakness. The guys are just too honest. I mean, they just tell us what they think, and they tell it to us if we want to hear it or not, if the CEO is there, or if you are there, Jeff, or he, or me. It doesn't make any difference. And I personally think this is where they struggle a lot in the world outside of Auticon. The people are not used to this openness and especially to this directness. We always tell the customer, you know, we come into a big bank in Frankfurt and sit together with the people who have developed the code, and our 2 colleagues see the code for the first time, and after 5 minutes they say, oh, this is really lousy done. Who did that? And the people who did it are on the table. Normally, Kurt, thank you, but thank you, here's the door. We have prepared the guys, and they asked the only valuable question, which was, why do you think so? And then he could exactly explain why he thought so, what was wrong in the code, what was causing performance, and all that kind of thing. And as soon as you are in this debate about the content, that goes extremely well. That just goes extremely well. But don't ask if the guys saw the match yesterday, because this is a neurotypical crazy questions. It's not specified. I would need to say, did you see the match, football match between those teams yesterday on TV? Then I get an answer. But if I just say, you know, did you see the match? My neurotypical colleagues would probably say, I saw it, of course, because they knew what I mean, because there was probably one important match yesterday. And this is a good example of what works and what doesn't work. Then here you see a few of the topics of today. I'm personally convinced that the strengths of autistic people have never been more important than they are today. Their DNA is tailor-made for the digital world we are living in. Their capability to do also in repetitive jobs amounts and amounts and amounts of data is just something we definitely need. And all of us need in the environments where we are. So 100 years ago, I think it would have been difficult to think about jobs that the guys could really do well. Today, it's the opposite. You really would need to think about which jobs can they not do, because so much is IT-based, so much is just done in front of a computer. Yeah, so why does the Auticon model work? I think there are mainly two reasons. The one reason is that all our processes are tailor-made for people on the spectrum. So we do not even call an interview an interview. We just say, come over, let's have a chat about what you want to do and things like that. So we really try to keep the barrier as low as we can. And the more important reason is, and we fortunately have a whole set of fantastic colleagues doing that, are our job coaches. The job coaches are the key to success. The job coaches are the ones who do the first interview, the first meeting, presenting the guys at the customer, knowing our guys in and out. It's all done by the job coaches. We have one job coach for 5 to 10 of our consultants. And the job coach is the interface to the customer, to the company, and also is the interface from the company to us. If there is an issue, our consultants always know there is somebody whom I can just ask. And like this beautiful lady here called Ramona, she's our job coach in Munich. And I think she has already been working for us now for years with probably 30 or 35 consultants overall. And this function is the reason why it works, because if it wouldn't be needed, not 85% would be unemployed. So, and what they do is really, they walk through all the individual steps with our colleagues. They experience all the do's and the don'ts in the preparation phase. And when we send out our people after 3 or 4 months being with us, we know exactly what are the 2-3 things we need to take care of. And we are very happy to say we didn't have a single situation where we needed to stop a project due to autism-related reasons. And this is why we do so much in front, so that nothing basically happens afterwards. So job coaching is super important. We of course also have project managers, because sometimes we are doing projects that are managed by the customer, and the lead of the project is with our customer. But we are also doing projects where we are given a whole project to solve, and that means that we also, of course, as other consulting companies, do have those project managers. What is also very interesting, especially because we will talk about neurodiversity afterwards a little bit, is what happens besides the job. And what happens is that a lot of people, through our colleagues, learn how to better deal with people who are different. I've got calls from managers of our customers saying, God, I'm a much better manager now. I say, huh? Why is that? because I've understood that also my neurotypical team, you know, if I rearrange a few of the tasks they are doing, then this works much better. And I've learned that from your colleagues and understanding what are the do's and what are the don'ts. And what, of course, also happens is that the people in the team who are neurodiverse, they understand that it's very interesting, because communication, you would expect that communication is getting worse if our people are in the team, and the opposite happens, because everybody tries to be a bit more clear. Everybody is more precise, and that honestly helps also non-autistic people, right? So communication in teams where our people are in the stand-up meetings and saying, Jeff, you haven't really been prepared today nicely. I hope you do it better tomorrow. That helps a lot. Yeah, and so there are a lot of side effects if you want. Basically, the next part is about how did the journey go so far, and we started in 2013 in Germany, in Berlin, and then we built up the business in 6 other cities in Germany, so that we today have the setup that we are basically in all important business areas of Germany, and we are very proud that about half of the DAX companies, that German share index, is a customer of ours. We have big customers since the beginning, like Allianz, like Munich Re, like BMW, like Mercedes, where we again and again and again can send our people to. And that is not name dropping, but it is very important, because our people like to do interesting projects. And those guys have very interesting projects. And what we have figured out, the content of the project is the main reason why our people like a job or don't like it. So if we do a good matching between our consultant and the task that needs to be done, then the results are just outstanding. If we do a so-and-so preparation, then the results are still good. But if we find the sweet spot of what our consultants are capable to do and want to do, then the results are just gorgeous. After the first 3 years, I had an unwritten deal with our shareholders saying as soon as we are profitable in Germany, we go to other countries, and we started in Paris and in London. And I said, if it doesn't work in those 2 cities, we don't have a good model, because we have 12 million people. Let's assume 1.x% are on the spectrum. A lot of business is centralized in both cities, in Paris and in London. And to make a long story short, it worked out very, very well. A bit faster in the UK, because the know-how on autism is bigger. But William and his team catched up very nicely and now overtook the UK. It's always a nice race. And it works so well because also in France we have a fantastic team of job coaches and of course consultants who are doing a great job, and we are blessed with top tier customers. And after that we said, okay, now we really think this is the time to take it even more international. And UBS invited me as a keynote speaker to an event in Florida, and I thought, why do they bring somebody to talk about employment for autistic people from Europe? And the answer was because there are, of course, a few companies like ours here, but there's no company who really wants to become big, who really wants to do this on a broader scale. Very often, it's companies started by parents for their children. They have 10 people, it works okay. It's not losing too much money, wonderful. Let's just leave it as it is. Our target from the beginning was, let's help as many people on the spectrum as we literally can, and this is what we're trying to achieve. So we, in 2018, started in Switzerland and in Italy, in Europe. We bought a company on the West Coast in Los Angeles, and we bought a company formerly called Meticulon in Canada, because we said we want to go into this North American markets with already a company that is doing business there. And very briefly on Canada, we are also in Montreal, and we are just now starting in Toronto. Canada is easy because the decision is like, you need those 4 cities and then you're there. The US is not so easy. The US offers 50 possibilities, and of course the question is, where are we going first? And as always, we're going first where we get the biggest support. And we got, fortunately, a lot of support here. Jeff and the US team has been gorgeous. I already mentioned Joel, Jay and Eric are great supporters. Stephanie has been. So wherever we have been in Utah so far, you know, we really felt welcome. And this is why we have made up our mind to start here early next year. The sooner the better, to be honest. And yeah, I'm personally looking forward to it. I live since July 1st in California because I want to help to build the business up in the US in general. We have started in Ohio in November of this year. We will for sure also start in Connecticut and in Tennessee. And it's always the same kind of model and approach that we have implemented, and that will hopefully work. What does it mean for Utah? It means we are looking for customers. We're looking for consultants. We want to do a big press announcement early next year. Just before Christmas, we didn't think it's a good time because then there are so many other things going on, and until people return, it's forgotten. So we will do that. We are proactively looking for the first job coach, which is kind of the lead job coach. So if you know anybody, if somebody's in the room who says that sounds interesting, would like to hear more about it, you are very welcome to ask. And then of course we are trying to find consultants, as many as possible, the more the better. And if you know people on the spectrum that are interested in IT, because the only thing we really need is an interest in IT and the cognitive skills. Sometimes people think all autistic people have them, but that's not true. So, but as long as those two things exist, we're very happy to meet the guys and figure out do they need more training, and can we help them to find a job through us. So any help is appreciated. You know, if you know companies, if you know consultants, if you know a potential job coach, let us know. And I always say we cannot have too many supporters and too many ambassadors, because Auticon wouldn't be what it is and where it is if we wouldn't have found fantastic people supporting us. I know that William and the whole team are doing a fantastic job day by day, because it's a hard fight again and again and again. But we also need you. We need you guys to make it work, and the more support we feel and get, the better it is, of course. Before I show you the recruitment video as basically the final part of my presentation, I want to give you one example which in my opinion summarizes Auticon so well. And that example is a colleague who came to us 5 years ago, being 50 years old and being unemployed between 43 and 50. His name is Martin. He speaks 14 different programming languages. He was 7 years unemployed. He came to us during these 7 years. His both parents passed away. So literally, I personally think he didn't talk to anybody, because I don't know to whom he would talk. And he lives 50 miles outside of Munich. It's a pain for him to take the train. Anyway, so we did our interview, and I was very new in those days, and our branch office manager in Munich was new, and so we did our so-called interview. And Martin was just looking to the ground and basically answering with yes or no, maximum. And then we came to all the questions regarding IT, and every time we said, do you know COBOL? Yes. Do you know C++? Yes. Have you been programming in Java? Yes. And we thought, this is weird. Something must be wrong here. So to make a long story short, we hired Martin after that. Martin, he did in total 5 different projects for us so far. So wherever he was there for a long time. And he, together with 2 other colleagues, he developed a solution in the risk management of a big European bank that is running on the mainframe system of the bank today. And the results were so stunning that the chief security officer of UniCredit called me and said, Kurt, the results are so great, I want you guys to present at our board lunch next month. And I said, wonderful. I will go there and do the presentation and talk to the guys. And Martin said, no, Kurt, you have no idea about what we are doing. We will present that. That is the same person that literally didn't talk when he came to us. So what has happened? His self-confidence grew from 0 to 105, I would say. Yeah, his whole life has changed. Is he still on the spectrum? Of course, and this will never change, we all know that. Does he still need a job coach? Yes. So last time he had a problem getting his way to BMW, where he's working now. So we needed to find another solution and things like that. He will not be able to do it without that support. But with that support, wherever we sent him to, the feedback was just wonderful. And as we are talking about, this season now, we of course cannot do a Christmas party, sit down and drink a lot of things and tell crazy stories. So we need to do something meaningful. And we were playing 2 years ago in Munich. We were playing, what's the English word? Who's becoming a millionaire? Right? Or who wants to be a millionaire? And we only played it with a €1 million question to make it a little bit more sophisticated. And I participated, we had 20 questions and I had 7 right. And I felt like, wow, Kurt is super. And Martin was sitting here, and then we walked around and everybody said how many correct answers he had. And Martin had 16 correct answers. And I asked him, because out of the 7, I knew 1, and 6 I was just guessing. And I asked Martin, how many did you know and how many did you guess? And he said, I knew them all, and Kurt, you are our CEO, you should also know them.